Hi, I'm Dan,
And I'm Dean.
and welcome to Bloodhammer. This week we wanted to talk about the Horus Heresy. We mentioned it briefly in our last video, and we thought we should probably expand on it a little bit, as it's quite a complicated subject.
It is, as with anything when it comes to our lovely Games Workshop, overly complicated.
Massively complicated. So we're going to try and break it down into a short-ish video, and tell you a little bit about the Horus Heresy and why that was the biggest reason for the 41st millennium. The Horus Heresy is an incredibly complicated subject. There's 54 books on it, multiple theories out there, lots of lore, and to be fair, it's difficult to know actually where to start with any of this.
If you can't be bothered to sit and read all the books, you've got multiple options, but of course the only option that applies, Bloodhammer.
Yes, shameless plug. The whole point with the Horus Heresy is it's a long, winding story that all really starts with the Emperor of Mankind. The Emperor of Mankind, the God Emperor of Mankind, depending on whether you're in the 41st century and support the Inquisition or not, is the father of all of this. It all starts with him. The Emperor set out to start his Primarch project, where he would take genetically engineered beings to help him conquer the stars. These 20 beautiful, gleaming Primarchs would be his absolute and perfect masterpiece.
It's 18, Dan, it's 18, it's 18!
Don't ask about the other two. 18 Primarchs. The 18 Primarchs were meant to be genetically modified soldiers that he could use to take over the stars, reconnect to humanity after many things have happened that, again, we're not going to get into in this video. Anyway, the Emperor moved forwards with this plan, and in the middle of it, they were unfortunately spread amongst the stars by what the law was until recently, the Chaos Gods.
Now, the one question everyone asks and everyone wants to know is, who is the Emperor? Where does he come from? Is he Jesus? Is it the offspawn of the Old Ones? Is it the reincarnated soul of thousands and thousands of druids? Which is my personal favourite theory, though I believe it has since been discounted. It's still my favourite. Is it Keanu Reeves? Is it Henry Cavill? Who knows?
It's definitely Henry Cavill.
It's gotta be.
It's 100% Henry Cavill. We believe in Cavill. We believe in you. Please don't fuck up Warhammer.
So the idea behind the Emperor's Great Crusade was to bring the light of truth and science across the fledgling galaxy of humanity and to bring all the worlds back into the fold of the Imperium.
Praise be to him.
Exactly why the Emperor did this at the time is not known. We all now know he was trying to suppress the use of the warp with the idea of building the Wedway project, which in itself is a mammoth thing to talk about, and to gradually deny humanity its use of the warp. Now, as the Emperor's Great Crusade spread out across the galaxy, bringing compliance by word or by the chainsword and bolt, whichever one was the most applicable at the time, he gradually stumbled across each of the 18 Primarchs, some by pure chance, others by word of mouth, by scouts finding out about them, such as the finding of Lionel Johnson on Caliban, where a advanced fleet would find Caliban and hear about the lion and go running to Emperor going, "We found your little boy hiding on a medieval world!" And then everyone suddenly loses their minds over this dude who's conquered a planet. Other than Angron, who failed miserably at even being a gladiator, it's kind of what happens across all 18 of the Primarchs. They find a world, they make it a better place for everybody, apart from Angron, who just becomes a rage-filled gladiator and murders everybody for everyone else's enjoyment.
And there's one more you're forgetting there. The Primarch of the Night Lords.
Ah, yes, who could forget about him? You know, I'm going to skin someone alive because it'll teach Daddy down the road not to hate Junior anymore.
Are you a murderer? Would you like to be continuing a murderer but under the Emperor's light? Join the Night Lords.
You also get to wear flesh of other people. It's good. It's
have
good for your skin.
They do have cool models, though.
They do. They do. It makes me want some, but the wife would kill me.
Yeah.
The wife would kill me. But back to the Great Crusade. So, as it spread across the galaxy, bringing the light and illumination of the Imperial truth to all of humanity's outposts, eventually the Emperor got to a stage where he was like, I want to go home, put on my cardigan, and put my feet up with a newspaper, and do sod all for the rest of my extremely long existence. Which led us, unfortunately, to the Ulanor campaign. Now, the Ulanor campaign, very briefly, was where a system was overrun by the orcs. The Emperor, along with the sons of Horus, eradicated the orcs. And that's where our story takes us.
As the Emperor set out amongst the stars to start reclaiming his lost 18 Primarchs, he came across his first, his most loyal, and his favourite son, Horus Lupercal, on the planet of Chthoniya. From there, him and the Emperor became as close as father and son could be. They conquered stars together, conquered worlds, found other Primarchs, and Horus eventually became the War Master. For all intents and purposes, as the Great Crusade rolled on, it ended at Ulanor. Now, the Great Crusade went on after this, but this was when the Emperor officially bowed out and named Horus Lupercal his War Master. Horus, along with 9 of his brothers who were there at attendance at Ulanor, received a massive parade, and Horus was officially crowned as the War Master to take the project forwards as the Emperor sleuthed off to work on his secret project of the Webway.
Now, after the culmination of Ulanor, as mentioned, there was further crusades, further battles, further expansions, further conquests, such as one of the more famous ones, 6319, which is where we see the opening of the first book of the series, Horus Rising, and that is where we start to meet some more of the fundamental characters of the book series, which we'll introduce a little bit later on in the videos. However, from 6319, the story progresses on to other worlds, other races that we meet, such as the Technocracy, until we get to the pivotal world of Davin. Now, on the moon of Davin, Horus is stabbed in the shoulder by an anathane that's wielded by a guy named Urgan Tembar. Now, Urgan has been corrupted by the Chaos Guard of Nurgle, and in his death state, Horus is taken down to the Temple of Davin on the main world of Davin, where he is shown a aspect of the truth that we now know as Warhammer 40,000, because in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Now, when Horus comes out of the temple, he is understandably angry and annoyed. He feels very, very betrayed. This then leads to him forming plans with a number of his brothers, 4, and then we start on to the Isfahan campaign. Now, unfortunately, Dan is currently sitting with members of the Inquisition after he made some treacherous allegations about 20 of something, but we're not going to discuss that any further, as I'm a little bit of a geek when it comes to the lore side of things and particularly enjoy reading. I'm going to take over this small aspect of our video. So the Isfahan campaign and the Horus Heresy all start off hand in hand together, where we approach the soils of Isfahan 3. Now, Horus uses Isfahan 3 as the start of the campaign to eradicate loyalists from his legion, which is now known as the Sons of Horus. Originally it was the Lunar Wolves. We've got the World Eaters under Angron, the Death Guard under Mortarion, and the Emperor's Children under Lord Commander Eidolon. Now, for anyone who is a fan of 40k, probably going, well, no, it's Fulgrim. At this point, Fulgrim was actually being a bit of an errand boy for Horus, so for all intents and purposes, Fulgrim's not about. So, the Isfahan 3 campaign fully kicks off when Horus sends the troops that are loyal to the Emperor, that he knows he won't turn onto his path of heresy, down to the surface of Isfahan 3. Now, we've got units from all 4 of the legions already mentioned. They go down, obviously unbeknownst to them, up above them in the atmosphere and surrounding the planet. All of Horus's ships and those that are loyal to him are about to virus bomb the planet. Now, without going into massive detail, they use something called the Life Eater virus, which is, well, as with anything in 40k, it's just unnecessarily nasty. Now, before the Horus can commence his plan and wipe out the unfortunate loyalists left on the planet, a heroic individual by the name of Soltarvitz from the Emperor's Children finds out what's happening, manages to escape with the help of Nathaniel Garrow on the Eisenstein, and make it to the surface of Isfahan 3, where he warns the loyalists what's happening. Now, at this time, you've got the Death Guard that are currently fighting in the trenches. These guys managed to make it to bunkers, though not all of them in time. the World Eaters, the Emperor's Children, and the Sons of Horus, or as they're now calling themselves, the Lunar Wolves, all managed to escape, albeit underground, into some catacombs, into temples, everywhere, to live out the storm that's now approaching. The virus bombs come down, wipe out thousands of civilians. There's then a firestorm. Again, not going into huge detail here. The surviving loyalists come back out and manage to hold the traitors at bay for months. Now, unless I've remembered incorrectly, I can't recall exactly how long. Maybe someone in the comments can remind me on this, but they hold the traitors for months. Angron particularly is not a happy little chicken, shall we say, at these developments, and is one of the first ones down to the planet, which of course Horus is so not happy about. But anyway, after months and months of fighting, the loyalists unfortunately do all gradually start to die, and defenses fall apart, and Horus just throws one massive ball at them by going, do you know what, I'm just gonna bomb you all. I mean, you've got ships in orbit, why waste the troops, mate? Bomb them, it's what you've got bloody big ships for. But anyway, after the conclusion of Isstvan 3, we then move over to Isstvan 5. So, the Isstvan 3 campaign is over, and we've moved over to Isstvan 5. Now, Isstvan 5 is also more commonly known as the Drop Site Massacre. Here we see the 4 traitor legions awaiting the wrath of the Emperor, and that wrath arrives in the form of 7 loyal legions. Well, we say 7 loyal, technically there was only 3, that being the Iron Hands, the Salamanders, and the Raven Guard. By the end of the Drop Site Massacre, unfortunately, one Primarch has lost his head over matters, 1 is missing, 1 is severely injured, and we have 3 loyal legions completely decimated. I would love to talk more about this, but I would not do it justice. We highly recommend that you read the book Fulgrim, written by Graham McNeill.
Obviously, this was a really abridged version of the Horus Heresy, or at least the start of the Horus Heresy. We'd always recommend, as we did in the last video, that you read the books. They're the best place for the lore, and especially the first 3 books in the Horus Heresy are probably the clearest the timeline is, because it gets a bit messy after that.
It is indeed. So the first 3 books, in case you want to know, we've got Horus Rising, which is by Dan Abnett. We've got False Gods by Graham McNeill, and Galaxy in Flames by Ben Counter.
Definitely. And I think the first book, personally for me, is the best.
Opening scene.
The first book is incredible. We'd highly recommend, even if you're not super into the lore, get down to your local Games Workshop or get Audible. I think in Games Workshop it's like £7. It's definitely worth a read. Again, we'd recommend certain channels that are a lot better at this than we are. People like Luton09, Arbiter Ian, because he does some great book reviews, or Lorehammer, the podcast. They did a whole 3 or 4 episodes on just the Horus Heresy.
Or even Voldemort, because after all, the lore.
So listen to the lore, read about it, and just learn a little bit more about this world. It's really interesting. It's the start of a massive, like I said at the start, 54 books the Horus Heresy is. It only concluded recently. And I think you'll have a great time learning a bit more about some of the characters that eventually go on to be quite key players in the 41st millennium. Thank you for watching the video. Once again, thank you to our sponsor, Shrewsbury War Game Society, for letting us film and also just being good participants.
Yeah, and if you want to see anything in the future, we'd appreciate if you could like and subscribe to our channel. If there's something you'd like to see us explain a little bit further or maybe expand on, drop us a comment. We'll dutifully ignore you because, you know, we're modern day people. But yeah, drop us a comment and leave us a like on the video.
Thank you very much. See you next time.
See ya.